Okay, we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting Wednesday, June 2018. It's 5:02. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did you sign in?
I did not.
Would you please? Thank you. If nobody objects, we'll jump right to this gentleman's matter, which happens to be under item 8, old business, tax acquired property. I assume we have some bids. Got quite a few. Got several.
And haven't been open.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm gonna do this way.
And there should be a check or something, so be careful.
Oh.
You don't want to slide it out.
Okay. And is that check represent a deposit?
It is a 10%.
Okay, so.
I believe is 10% of the bid, and they should be certified cashier's check.
Okay.
I had like a 10-page bid packet.
Yep.
There you go.
This one. Oh, okay, there you go, yep. And these checks get returned to everybody who doesn't.
Yes, if
don't
their
win
bid
them.
is not chosen,
Okay.
it gets mailed back to them.
Okay.
There's your weapon.
Put them in order there.
Coming back to him right in the same order they came.
All right.
There.
That one did.
I'll just, I guess,
Were there 4 of them?
correct.
Yes.
We have 4 bids.
Okay.
I've got, well, I'll just start reading them.
Yeah.
Christina Walsh. Her bid is $5,200.
Okay.
And she does have the appropriate check. Louis Gothia. His bid is $8,062. And he has the appropriate check. Carl Westcake. His bid was $6,600, and he also has the correct amount in his check. And Mark Poulin, bid of $4,728 and a deposit of $500. Not very difficult, is this?
No.
Looks like Mr. Gothia may have bought himself a piece of property.
Okay. I will need a motion.
Go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion to, is it sell?
Accept the bid.
To accept the bid of Louise. Is that Louise?
How do you spell it?
It is.
Louise.
Louise.
Louise Gauthier. For $8,062.18. Map 1, lot 8-1. For the tax acquired property.
Okay.
Second? This one?
I'm just putting back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none. Let's vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. You know which one this one is?
That's good. That means we got a little work.
That was your party?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there is a lot of work over there.
I was looking for a name and I didn't see it.
I know, that's
What's he
what
doing
I
there?
was like, poor Chuck. Okay.
Yours get lost and I didn't know it.
When he said it's Louise, I was like, it's him.
That's, yep, same as this when I was
Good, good,
figuring out the other
good.
day.
I didn't really know. You got the puzzle going.
This one is Walsh.
This one is? Okay.
So you're gonna be doing the work,
So that only leaves one then.
building?
We're gonna build a home?
She's gonna build a garage with an apartment upstairs, and I think for right this second, she just wants a lot done, so she put a camper there, so she can come up here and
Great.
Great,
do ATV and stuff, so.
very good.
It's ATVing has always been, and we had that issue this spring, and this is like the third or fourth time I've heard somebody, they wanna move to Sangerville so they can ATV. I think
I
that's
mean, she
pretty
won't
cool.
move here, she just retired from LLB after 35 years, so she likes ATV and so.
Yeah,
My brother has a camper in there, and he's friends with her brother, so.
Ah,
That road's a good spot. From there, you're right in the parkman and it's
Yeah.
100% open. You
That's
go to
right.
Greenville anywhere from there.
Now you just gotta get from
We're trying
Kevin Bridge to
Trying.
Guilford.
very good.
All
Well,
right,
good,
well,
I'm glad for you.
thank you.
You're gonna let her know?
Yes.
I'm not, I'm just.
Curious.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a
Jack.
good night.
All right.
I didn't expect that. I don't know why, I just didn't. That's good.
Good, good.
So we'll go right back to the top. Item 2, approval of minutes. May 15th, 2018, Selectmen's meeting.
You want to do each one?
You want me to just read them all?
Yeah.
June 6, 2018, Selectmen's meeting. And June 18, 2018, Emergency Selectmen's meeting.
I make a motion to approve A, B, and C.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants. A, payroll 81, 84. B, accounts payable 80, 82, 83, 85.
Make a motion to approve A and B on treasurer warrants. Accounts payable.
Second?
All in favor? It's unanimous. Open session for 2 minutes. We don't have any guests today. Selectmen's concerns. Selectmen's concerns.
I had a conversation with Mr. Gillette the other day when it regards to the fire department.
Okay.
During that conversation, we kind of was going back and forth because, of course, I wanted to sharpen his pencil and see what he was thinking and try to understand his thought process of how things possibly could work. And so, a couple of things that actually that I think we knew but didn't really, he's fully aware, is it was a few years back that we got the government grant and that provided a lot of our turnout gear and our camera. And so now we're getting to the phase that a lot of that stuff is getting to be replaced. The camera is no longer functioning, so that's already replaced at $25,000. The gear is very expensive. Our air packs are getting to be out of date. So that was something that he suggested for us that we may want to do, was to try to get for us to have a better understanding of our department, is to get a better inventory, to know, what's still functional and how much time limits do we have on things on that part. We talked about the coverage, and I explained to him that that's our primary focus is how are we gonna be, what can you guarantee for us that you're gonna have a better service or better coverage than what we have now? He said he didn't know the number yet, but he was thinking he's probably gonna add 5, maybe 10.
People?
Onto his roster. So more than likely it would be some of the people that would be from ours. So that would, he felt he could provide that. He's gonna actually come up with something to present, so we will all know that, what he's imposing. He did say he was possibly interested in one of the truck. He just bounced a number off, the kind of, not a per se number, but a for instance number. Mm-hmm. And I told him that, that's way more than what we've even talked about. But I'm sure that if if, to guarantee our services and our coverage is our focus, and if we could get something worked out, I'm sure that trucks or whatever, that would be something that could be discussed later, and whether it be a, you know, stretch that out to offset the cost or whatever, there's all kinds of room for that part of it. So he was gonna see what he could do and come back to us. So, I don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah. And we have an item under here, under old business for fire service, so this kind of ties into it. Do you want to just go to that?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't
No,
see
it's
that.
okay.
I would've waited.
Why don't we
No,
just
that's fine.
stick with the topic?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. I know you sent an
I
email.
talked to Dexter to find out what they bill, for fire services. And they bill Ripley, 15,000. And the finance director that I was talking to said plus calls. And so when I emailed the fire chief, he emailed back and said, no, it's not, it's just 15,000. I also contacted Dover and asked them, and they base the fee that they would charge on the valuation, their state valuation. So, and they have a formula that they work out, and our state valuation is 75 million. And he had run the rough numbers, and they would roughly charge us 40,000. But they have not talked to their fire chief or anything like that. So, and I said to him, you know, our valuation might be 75 million, but it's summer residency because we have ponds. I said, we don't have, I said, our population's 1,300. So we didn't pursue any further than that conversation because
Does
we wanted
Dover actually provide a service, anybody other than Dover?
Atkinson. It sounded like they might provide to more than that, but I know they provide Atkinson.
Do you know what Atkinson's paying?
He didn't tell me that, and I had specifically asked him that, but he did not provide me with that information.
And you spoke to the town manager?
I spoke to, the finance director,
Finance director?
Dave Johnson. Yeah, because when I called Dexter, they didn't have a town manager, and they said, well, talk to the finance director, because they're the ones that do the billing.
Oh.
And Dave Johnson, he did say he did talk to Jack Kluge about it. So they have, the town manager was in on a conversation with him, and that's where they come up with the number and the formula. So, and I think I had forwarded to all of you the email response from the Dexter fire chief.
I'm in that along the Dexter lines. The council is it's a 5-member council there, and the chairman of the council is Mike Blake, and I went to high school with him. So I just thought I'd check in with him and see if he might have some kind of gut feeling as to how the council might feel about, you know, that sort of arrangement. Would they be open to it? Or, and he seemed very positive, not only to the fire department, but he wants to put everything on the table. He thinks that towns like Sangerville and Dexter and Guilford, we should be looking at any possible synergies, you know, whether it's public works or fire or library, you name it. So I would say, I got a real positive vibe from him. He thought that it might make sense for one or more of us to attend one of the council meetings, and we just kind of talk, see what. So, but he also agreed that geographically it's hard to argue that Guilford isn't the ideal fit because our two town centers are so close. But
Is the idea that Guilford is?
Guilford is,
Yeah.
He agreed with that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, it looks like.
I did find out Parkman and Abbott are both paying 15,000.
And their populations are?
800-ish, 678.
It's interesting, the one being based on our or not our mill rate, but our
Valuation.
valuation. And then others, I don't know whether there's based on population or what. I mean, what would be the most logical thing to base it on?
Probably you look at the calls they
The
have.
calls,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's what,
Tommy, he was thinking, Guilford and Sangerville's pretty close in size, pretty close in population, so I was trying to get that from him, which direction he was going.
right.
The other thing that he did bring up as well is that the other added benefit or value, or I don't really know the word you want to use with it, but with Guilford, they are a licensed first responder unit, where we are not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I mean, it kind of
That would be an uptick in terms of service.
Yep.
And I don't know that Dexter is. We got that ambulance right there, but I don't know.
Guilford, Guilford has two basically hospital units, Guilford and Sangerville, and Guilford first responders gets called to them quite regularly. So, and that's one thing that, and I knew that from when I was on, and I still hear it, but that's one thing that, is always kind of funny, that the Guilford first responder shows up in the doctor's office and the PAs, they have to clear the room, that's first responders.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
yep. So,
Huh.
and it happens fairly regularly, so.
So I guess we just kind of keep advancing the ball on this.
That's what I suggested to Tommy, I explained everything, how, what we talked about, and it's on the record, and it's, we're trying to make this as public as possible, and if, when he can figure out his plan of what he can do for us, I told him he ought to come to a meeting, and he ought to present it, he ought to, that way there, if there's questions from everybody, then everybody can ask. So,
I also had a discussion with Wanda Drummond, and she obviously is saying what's going on, and she asked about the conversations that we had with the chief and with what was the other?
Assistant chief.
The assistant chief.
Jim.
But anyway, she had lots and lots to say, and I invited her to come and talk to us about it, because she said, you don't realize everything that we do. I've never been on a firefighter's squad, so I don't have a clue. And she said, we're very active. She went on and on and on and on and on about what they're doing. And I said, well, then you need to come and tell us everything that you're doing. She was concerned that the chief and Jerry, just didn't articulate what they were doing, and so I think it's very important to listen to all the different people. We need to listen to our own department and hear what they have to say. And if there is somebody like Wanda who feels very strongly, she just attended a clinic or whatever they call them. But anyway, it's for fire departments that are shorthanded. And basically they were saying that even if there's 2 people that respond, that it could save a life. It could save a building from burning. So, she said, I wish the 3 of you could have been at this, because I guess it was the chief of Augusta Fire Department that gave the course for shorthanded departments, and she said it was amazing how important even a department that's shorthanded. So anyway, I do think it's important to continue to listen to our department and make sure, and that's what I said to her, you need to come talk to us.
Well, I fully expect if we actually do advance this idea, let's, one town or another is a fit, we're gonna have public hearings,
Right.
there's gonna be all kinds of opportunity to talk.
Right.
Now, we may back away from this and say, gee, there really isn't a fit out there, and we'll keep doing what we're doing for now.
Right.
But when we get to that point, I think, everybody will get a chance to
Right, and
share their concerns
right,
and
yeah.
goals.
But I did want you to know that, they're concerned.
Oh, I fully expect,
Yeah.
and in all fairness to the chief and the assistant chief, I felt like, he was saying, it wasn't that he didn't have people that were engaged. In fact, he had people that are maybe carrying more than their weight.
Right,
What he lacked was numbers.
right.
So,
And Wanda did say that. She said, we are actively recruiting. I've got this, she,
Yeah, there just isn't anybody to pull from.
I know.
And I fully agree with what she said to you. Now, as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, where we just talked about in Atkinson, if we were Atkinson, and we had the same scenario, then I think because of location, then maybe that would be a perfect solution is how do you utilize lesser people and downsize and still stay active. But I think for us, we're in a very unique situation because we have a completely active fire station less than 1 mile away.
Right, you don't.
Correct. So, I mean, you're not,
No, ideally, if we did this,
Yeah.
I would expect that our coverage would improve. It wouldn't be a step down, should be a step up.
right,
Yeah, no, I mean, we're not out in the willy wags, I mean, we really
Right.
are wedged in between
Yeah.
Dexter and Guilford.
And this is
I mean,
kind of
and
what
all-
Mike was saying,
yeah.
there's all kinds of things that we really
Yeah.
shouldn't all be buying exactly the same stuff.
Right, and that's
I get
exactly
that.
what's going on with the hospital, you know, the consolidation and,
Yeah.
and so pooling of resources and manpower and, you know.
It sounds like they're talking to Corinna about a lot of possibilities, but I don't know how far they've gotten on anything, but there's
Yeah.
a drumbeat out there.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's seeing, I mean, these mill rates, if you're gonna stay below 20, you gotta start thinking outside the box.
Right, right.
So we're all faced with it.
Yeah.
So.
So, but and in the meantime, they are cleaning up that fire station and.
Good.
and- Yep, yep.
Have you been in since
Yeah.
they started cleaning and
Yeah.
it looks better, you see improvement?
Oh, yeah, the upstairs, I had no idea it was as big as it is. I mean, they've gotten everything out, they're building lockers upstairs for things that need to be under lock and key, and so, I mean,
That's great.
they're,
They're working on
they
it.
putting an
are,
effort in.
they are putting an effort in,
Good.
so.
Anything additional on the fire service item? Okay. We'll go back up. Any further selectmen's concerns?
Sorry.
We're pretty loose here.
We're kind of.
We're all over the board.
Okay, committee reports, rec committee,
This is the sign that they're having
they've made a
made.
decision,
Yep.
home of pirate rec.
And Pirate Rec is paying for this part down here. So, but that is what it's going to look like, and it will be put up on Friday.
Very nice. I like the font. I like the
Yeah.
block font.
Yeah. And they also would like to do recognition from Joe Rotano. They would like the permission to name the baseball field, that's the closer one, in his honor. So they're asking if you could. He through the 80s. He was very
He's got more
active.
hours than- I mean, that's
Is that
where
right?
the dugouts come from.
Yeah.
And Joe was huge to get that whole thing.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there quite a controversy though about
Well,
naming the field?
Yeah, we had, well,
I wasn't here, but I thought there was,
I think he just picked
What's
a name
the
and said
current
that's
name?
it. Sangerville Veterans.
okay, it's not
Memorial
named after an individual right now.
Park. No.
Okay.
No, there was never any motion. The basketball court is named after, it's a Haley.
didn't even know that, honestly.
It is. I've read through the minutes. It is named after a Haley because not Rob Haley, but somebody else, maybe his father or somebody,
Oh.
was instrumental in building those courts. And then the child's one, I mean, he just did it with no cost. So so those basketball courts are in that honor of him.
That's it. I'm just wondering if there's a protocol when it comes to, I mean, that's what a legacy thing. I
That's,
mean,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's something that the whole town would wanna have some say in it. I don't know.
I don't know what a
I
protocol
don't know
would be
how,
for.
me neither.
Is Joe Rotano Senior still alive?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, we were allowing the rec department, if we go with that, we're saying you guys can pick who you want. Which I don't personally have a problem with, I just don't know historically what would normally be done in this.
Well, my only thing is you could run out of fields in 6 months, and what do you do for the rest of forever? You know, I mean, seriously, that you're gonna put one name on that, and that's it forever.
That's what
Well, I think that's why they specifically said, that one, but I know you've got a soccer field and you've got another
You're-
softball field and that's about it.
I'm just wondering.
I really like the idea of the memorial park, period. I'm not really, I think that's better suiting is because it's a community, it's not one or one on one, but.
And
that's
I'm
my own-
almost wondering if maybe
Or maybe I'm thinking wrong.
maybe a petition would be something, I mean, I'm not really sure how you advance something like this. I mean, if you name a highway, there's a process for that.
Yes.
It is forever, and it's quite an honor to have something like that. And I'm not saying this guy doesn't deserve it, I don't know if we really wanna jump the gun.
Well, I will say, I mean, the reason why I know the basketball court's named after Haley's is it was on a town meeting warrant.
Okay,
Well, I guess that's how we're,
I think,
if that's what you,
That's where I found it.
then that's.
Because that's where I was
And that's
looking for the
where we
name.
have to
I
go.
would, yeah.
I think if that's the case, and that makes sense to me, because I can just imagine all kinds of people saying, well, you know, my granddad did a lot of work over there, I mean, it
Yeah.
would be true.
Yeah.
Hey, I raked that field the other day.
All
Just
right,
saying. I mean,
the Dale Gray Memorial Field.
Rock, Memorial Rock.
Brock,
Yeah.
there you go.
I just wondered if maybe we wanna open this process up. If they wanna name the field, that's probably a great idea, but there probably should be a process that involves more than just the rec committee.
And more than just us.
Definitely
Right.
more than just us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause I mean, you could have a wall of recognition, you know.
Yeah, and the
Oh,
fact of the matter
yeah.
is, the fact that they're coming to us and saying, we wanna do this, it becomes us.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, on that rock, you could start putting plaques, and then you don't run out of room.
I'm
Or the
thinking,
dugouts. I mean, you know, I would
The
just,
fencing.
something, I mean, there's,
Yeah.
when you name the whole thing, you're done.
what if we had Lois do some research on how other towns have done this, how we have done this in the past?
That's
and-
how where it come from. Guilford just did it last year.
There you go.
They did.
They named the
Ball fields.
ball field in Guilford is after God.
Oh.
They got a big granite sign up there now.
Oh.
Okay,
But I have no idea if that was a town vote or anything. I just
And-
know that's how that was done.
And are they thinking of him because of the amount of work he did, not because of the amount of money he donated? Or?
Correct. He was instrumental in actually, I think, getting the
Oh.
park to begin with
Yeah.
and getting it started and,
Oh, I mean, if.
He's a
if
good
you-
choice.
Very, very, very good choice.
Okay.
yeah.
Definitely that is not part of my,
Right. Right. So,
okay.
okay.
Anything further on that? Joe?
That was number
Lieutenant.
2, that was it.
Okay,
So we're on B.
we're on B, Road Commissioner.
I had asked Jason to come, but he's probably busy. He's one of the guys that I've hired. And he's cleaned up the equipment. If you have not been to the town garage before, so you don't have anything to compare, but he's undercoated, cleaned everything. He said some of the equipment he wouldn't dare to sit in. Like the 3500, he said it's not just the floorboards, it's rotted. He said the whole cab is ready to fall off. It's that rotted. And he cautioned us if we sell it, make sure that there's no liability to who we sell it to. That
scrape sticker.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
is where is junk.
well, it's already.
It doesn't matter.
He's he's doing the maintenance that needed to be done. One of the things on the dump truck that
Cylinders?
that
I know where you're going.
has to be repacked, so that's being repacked. And the 5500 had an alternator, that's why the batteries kept being, it was a brand new alternator on it. It was defective, and so we got that replaced on the last day of the warranty, so
Whoa,
that was
good.
for free.
Wow.
Thank God. So that was, I wanted him to come and talk to you. He said the little John Deere tractor that we've been using, he said there are issues with the four-wheel drive part of it. He
Has it
said,
been for a long time? Yeah, I thought
This
so.
is, it's never been maintained. I mean, there's no hours on that piece of equipment.
Let the hydrostatic just go dry.
It's.
well, I know one thing that was not good for the four-wheel drive is they had the chains on the front tires of that instead of the back tires, which is counter to what you're supposed to use with it. So he says it's not worth, he says, honestly, he said, of course he's interested in it. He's like, I wouldn't pay more than $500-600 for it. He said, it's in bad shape. Now, 500 or 600 I think is a little cheap, but I don't think he's far off the mark. I mean, compared to some of the other pricing
Well, I
that we
mean,
had seen.
The day you and I was up there, the snow blower is bad.
It's, yeah,
The cab is all
That
rotted.
goes with this piece of equipment?
Yes.
Yeah.
The cab is rotted out of it. There's no heat in it.
Is this a diesel engine?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a 4200. I mean, it's not that old of a machine, but it's just,
Yeah. So, and he's taken inventory, and I'll get that list from him. And he's cleaning everything. I mean, not just the equipment and the machine, the vehicles, but the floors are being swept. I mean, he's like, there was that much dirt on the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
So, I mean-
That's in a decade.
yeah.
Wow.
So he's doing a really good job as far as that.
what I really would like to see is if the 3500 is in that bad a shape, and whatever else we have that's not feasible, that is fit to use or whatever, that would be the list that would be good to go.
Well, I
So
had
we can
asked him
move
for a
that
list.
forward
Yeah,
to-
yeah. He's supposed to get me a list of equipment that's either duplicate or not usable that we should just get rid of. So that is on the horizon, hopefully. So
Some progress.
there is progress, yes. I met with the road committee on Monday, and I had 2 members show up, and we proceeded to have a discussion that did not go well. And at the end, I said, I'm done, meeting's over, time to go. So I think we need to evaluate what we want to do.
Oh, why was it? Was it just arguing, or was
Yep,
it just?
they were arguing.
Okay.
Under the circumstances, 2 members,
Shouldn't, yes,
I would have walked away before it started.
exactly.
I mean, it would have been, because that is the problem when you don't have a quorum and there's not enough people to control it, and there's not enough, it just ends up in a he said and.
Well, and
We have plenty
There-
of committees where you could have 2
Correct.
people there and get stuff done.
yes, and
Yeah,
the
you
problem
shouldn't-
is,
you're
I
not supposed to have a
think,
meeting.
But I mean, at least they could talk.
well, and they're only advisory anyway. So it's not like they were there to make decisions.
Right.
Right,
They
right.
were supposed to be advising, and
Right.
I had a specific,
Did you have an agenda?
well, I did.
Right.
I have gravel, and we wanted to use some of that gravel. We know we have to possibly put some on the gray road. And I know we have 1,000 yards, but is that enough? And do we need to save some of our budget to, but they're not giving me what to do as far as, what roads are important. They're telling me who I can hire and not hire. So that's where the problem is coming in. So just putting that out there.
Remind me when the next meeting is?
Well, I can set
'Cause, I
a
mean-
meeting.
Well, I mean, we can, I think
Well, I think it would be
we have to
beneficial.
appoint, we appoint those, right?
That's right.
Yes.
They're
So it's
answerable
up-
technically to you.
So it's up to us to
Yes.
control
Completely
them?
to us.
Yes.
Yes.
And I just hopefully try to work with them. And
Correct.
I feel I've been doing a fairly good job individually working with each of them.
Well, I can imagine the problem. When it was only 2,
Yes.
there's no counterbalance.
Right.
When you have 4 in one, or.
Right.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I had some work scheduled to be done on Tuesday. That was kind of one of the reasons I wanted to meet with them on Monday, to know how much gravel I wanted to use on Tuesday. And after the meeting was over, I was calling my dump truck driver that I had scheduled for Tuesday, and he absolutely refused to do any work for the town
Whoa.
because he had gotten phone calls from one of the road committee members.
Whoa. Whoa.
What was the nature of the phone calls?
You can't do the work. It's a conflict of interest. But the town will sue. You will be sued or threatening lawsuit.
So what do we need to do about that?
I think we need to bring him in.
I think, well, either that individual. I didn't hear it. It
We
was.
need to ask.
You need to discuss
Alright,
it
so-
with.
You're gonna have to let us
I
know
think you need
later
a
who
road
that-
committee meeting.
Well, I would like to know later who that contractor was, so I can
Yeah, we'll reach out to the contractor, but the committee member is afforded, are they afforded the same privacy as an employee would be? I mean, you had a meeting. Who were the two in attendance? That's a matter of public record.
That is public record, Irving and Butch.
Okay. If we decided to speak to one of them, that's gonna be on public record, is it not?
Correct.
I would say.
Yep.
Yes?
It may,
Do you wanna research
possibly.
that?
I will have to research that because you may have to take it into executive session. Even
That's
though
what I
they're not
wondered.
paid, they still may be
Oh,
subject to, because you can't harm their reputation in a public meeting.
okay.
So we
probably-
want to proceed correctly.
Correct.
So let's ask Lois to do that for us?
Yes, please. What he said?
Yeah. And then we will move on that.
Okay.
So the long and the short of that whole debacle is nothing got done.
That is correct. So nothing happened on Tuesday. So my
That's
job, I had done the
unfortunate.
dig safe. I mean, it was ready to go.
Oh, that's.
I mean, the dig safe is okay for 30 days, as long as I start my project within 30 days of that date. And then I have 60 days to complete it. The dig safe is safe, is
Right.
valid.
Right.
But,
That's too bad.
and that particular road is a headache to get dig safe because it's Sangerville and Dover.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So I had to have 2 different tickets.
oh boy.
Yeah.
So it needs to be done within 30 days. Because you don't want to have to.
I need
redo
to
that
start
again.
within 30 days.
Correct. But I'm just
Correct.
saying, you went through the
Correct.
effort and had
Right.
to do all of that, we need to get this
Right.
done.
So as road commissioner, you should know, I mean, it's technically your approval. The thought is that road is too wide. It's 36 feet
Can
in
you
a lot of the
tell
spots.
What road are we talking about?
Line road.
Okay.
Line road.
Okay, I thought so, but I.
Yeah,
that's-
and so, I mean, it was the muddiest road this spring. It's the widest, which makes it difficult for your plow truck drivers in the wintertime to get the snow off. And if you don't get the snow off into the ditch,
Right.
then it's on the side of the ditch. So when it starts to melt, the water doesn't get off the road, which causes more mud.
Sure.
So you should really narrow it down to the, 20 or 22 foot drive surface with a nice shoulder.
Properly
And that
correct.
was what we were attempting to get done.
Bring that 36
Bring
feet
that
of gravel
36
up to raise the road at the same time?
Well, maybe, depending on the quality of the
Yeah, so if
gravel.
it's something
Right.
there,
If
yeah.
it's decent
Yeah.
gravel, yes, that would have happened, and if not, then we
'Cause-
would want it to add some gravel to the surface, 4 or 6 inches.
Because I can't remember, but there was I remember that road got built that wide for a reason, but I cannot remember why they did that.
Well, and then in the mud spots, when people are driving, they,
Of
go out
course.
around,
Squishes
so that
it
is
further.
squishing it,
That's what's
squished
happening.
it further in a lot of spots, so
It needs to be reshaped.
it really needs,
Work.
yeah,
It needs
yeah,
work. And your truck driver now won't do any work for the town of Sangerville, is that correct?
that is correct,
Going forward.
correct.
That's not good.
No,
Nope. Okay.
so, anyway, that's where I am.
Anything further?
No.
What's the paving schedule?
I have, Lawson's doing those culverts after I get back, and then the paving's coming right in behind him. The paving, I know he's booked up for 2 weeks.
Okay, so we're
So we're looking
looking
at the early July.
early July.
That's good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I do have a complaint on the Hartford Lane section, or the Silver's Mills down by Hartford Lane, that rebuild section is washboard.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know that I have a contractor that will come in and do 800 feet to grade it. I know it needs to be graded before they pave it. So
Chris
Yeah,
will do
I was
it.
gonna say, can he, I mean, he's right there,
He did it last time.
no?
Well,
I will ask him.
yeah.
Okay, good.
I will
I know
ask
you
him.
run into him, so. But yeah, because I knew that was gonna have to be hit again before we paved
Yeah.
it. But it's washboard pretty bad now.
Yeah, I had somebody stop and complain about it yesterday.
It's not that bad. I just come over it, did 40.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I mean, it's a dirt road. It is chattery, but I mean,
It's not very
that
long.
bad. No, it's only
It's 800 feet.
You can skip that.
If you go fast enough.
You can just fly.
Honestly, that's the point. If you slow down at 20 miles an hour, you feel every one of them. But like 40, it's like you're hitting every.
Get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off.
So,
Okay.
because honestly, I just did that loop between the line road, down that way, come up around, hit that 800 feet.
Yeah,
Anything additional from the road commissioner?
no, I'm good.
New business. We signed the commitments.
Yes.
Do you need motions or anything for them? Never hurts to make a motion.
And it make a motion, yeah, I mean, it's the commitment at the 18.55 mil, and that's the documentation, but it never hurts to make a motion.
So the motion would be something.
To accept the commitment as written,
At 18.55.
at 18.55. And tax bills will be mailed, to mail them, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to accept the commitment as written with the mill rate at 18.55 and the tax bills to be sent
Next Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Second.
Any further discussion? None? Let's have a vote. It's unanimous, 3. Winter sand.
It's a little early, and I could have put it up under road commissioner, but, we have a budget that we know we have approved for like 2,250 yards of sand. I believe, and you can offer or ask the contractor that you had last year, if they would like to renew their contract, you can do it one time. And so do we want to ask our contractor that we had last year, if he would like to provide the town sand this year at the same price as last year? Or do you want to think about it and let me know?
No, what I'm thinking is I have no problem with what you just said, number one. But one thing that I did notice last year, at the end of the year, this parking lot was slimier than I've ever seen it before. And that sand seemed to be more, I don't know, more fines, more talky, but
It definitely had more
it
talc in
didn't
it.
seem to, the water didn't seem to run through it. And so I know, I mean, a track here, it's no different, even on my road, they put more sand down on our road last year than I've ever seen on that road. But
Well, it
just
held the
didn't-
moisture too.
Yeah, that's what-
The accident that we had over there, the fines in that would turn to like a very fine mud. And
Like
then when the
silt.
cold hit it, it was like cement.
Oh.
Was that almost like a talcum powder?
Yeah,
almost,
and it seemed like the ratio of, it was a dirty sand. So I'm just wondering if the guys could look at, and
The quality.
I asked Warren about it, cause I just, I mean, it was, and he thought the same thing.
okay.
So,
did.
Oh,
yeah, so,
okay.
Whether or not, when we got it out of the pit, it was a bad spot in the vein, well, I have no idea. But I know that, when I did say something to Warren about it, he knew exactly what I was talking about, cause I kinda thought I was imagining what I was thinking, but, no, I kinda thought the same thing.
Now, there is what they call dead sand. Do you know if it was dead sand?
No, that was not dead sand.
Dead sand.
No, it was almost loamy. It was,
I thought it was silty.
Yeah,
Silty.
It was
and
like,
it
it
still
was
is.
like river
Yeah.
bottom.
If you go out here right now and you look
Yeah.
at what's the residue, it's still got this clay,
Yeah.
kind of muddy. So if your original proposal, I think that redoing that seems fine. It's just to see if we can
Discussion, yeah.
upgrade the
Right.
quality a little.
Okay.
See what they think.
Well, I really think that it, like you said, it seemed to be like it was holding the water on the road.
It definitely was.
So if we could get back to a different type of sand, it may actually be more beneficial for those guys as well, because it'll be doing its job better.
Right.
So,
Well, particularly if Warren's more of an expert than any of us. If he said, yeah, it's kind of dirty, I bet it's kind of dirty.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, that's good. Moving on to item 8, old business Abby Fowler, Brian Howard proposal.
It's on there. He did not get a proposal to me. I contacted him. I called him right after the last meeting and he said yes, he'd have it. And I called him last week and I emailed him on Monday. And I know he's been busy. He did respond both times. He said, I'm working on it. I plan on having it there. But he is super busy, so I can just keep in contact with him and every week hit him an email and say,
Right,
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's still
right. actively.
positive about it, then
Right.
that's
Yeah.
good. I understand.
Well, and I even question him, is there anything we could do to maybe able to help expedite this along? Because I myself would like to see this
Yeah,
done.
Yeah, I don't wanna see the leaf changing color
no.
without this, some resolution, one way or the other.
I was almost kind of hoping for a special by now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
it's just a public hearing.
I know, but I'm hoping we
Go
could
for
write
it.
it.
update on the village cemetery?
I met with Mr. Lawson and Jim Byer from DEP yesterday on where the washout is. And so the basic consensus is that section of the cemetery is the lowest section, so that's like where the water's running off. If we put in a dry basin where the road is, that will catch the water there and it will help eliminate the erosion on the bank. But as far as fixing what's already eroded is very, 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 very costly, and you have to have engineer plans and all of that information. And then on the bank that's still there, Jim Byer said he would be okay with us cutting some of the longer trees, the taller trees, because some of the trees they're so top heavy, but leave enough of the stump because the root is the bulk that's
Sure,
holding
that's
the
what's
tree there,
Sure.
the bank there. But I mean, you can see where the trees are falling underneath, and he cautioned me to make sure our code enforcement, because it is shoreland, is okay with that. And I spoke to George yesterday and said, hey, can we cut some trees? And he said, well, how many are you going to cut? And I said, I don't know, 5 or 6 that they pinpointed specifically. And he's like, yeah, that's not too many. And so we don't have to replant. Because if you're in shoreline zoning and you cut, you have to replant. If
Oh,
you cut
you
too
know what,
many.
I think, honestly, we ought to go just the other way. I would cut every tree that George would allow us to cut and replant. Because that's what we need to do, is you need to get all of those out of there and then stimulate.
Start with
new
Well, the
growth
small ones
to rehold
are
that
actually our
back.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
big
yeah.
ones
The
they
big
need
ones
to
are the
go,
ones
because
that
that leverage is,
Yeah.
they're just gonna tear the
Yeah.
roots
Yeah.
right out of there. But, anything that's arm size, we want it, because it'll be years before that's an issue. So, yeah, but
That's a very good point.
I wonder how, I
If
hope
we-
it works.
You got 5
Well-
or 6 right now that are already starting to
Oh,
lean.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
tearing
But that's what I'm
themselves.
saying, I mean, when I'm looking, you said 5 or 6, I'm thinking 50 or 60.
Well,
I mean, I
and
would
that was
cut-
just in that little section where we were
Sure,
looking.
but I mean, I would think if we could cut anything 6
Some of them,
inches,
yeah.
6 inches and up, really ought to come out of there and get a bunch.
Some of those
Replant.
are impressive oak trees. I mean, some of them, I'm wondering if we might have some value there that would offset the cost of getting this wood cut.
That's a
I
possibility.
mean, somebody like the Cleaves might say, you know what, I'll do it. I know
Oh
that,
yeah, that'd be really good if we could get somebody in there that could.
do it for the wood.
Yeah. And
There was a
if we cut
company-
all of it though, we may have to get a permit by rule from the DEP.
That's be.
So that's,
Yeah, we don't have a choice. We gotta do it.
Cutting is better and get new growth in there.
And even the stumps will last for 20 years. I mean, it's gonna have to be addressed someday, but if we can delay it, that's worth delaying.
But that may honestly be the solution. So what if every 15 years you go in and cut the trees off and replant?
Right,
You just
right,
continue that growth factor.
right.
the other thing is where that is washed out in that one area, we should probably consider some concrete barriers
Something.
right there, maybe, 3 or 4 to outline that half circle, but if those get put there, we'll have to move the road over probably 4 or 5 feet, which it looks like there's plenty of room there to do that.
I think we're gonna have to do something there eventually.
Well, his suggestion, Jim Byer's suggestion was a dry basin, which is basically a dig a big hole and fill it full of big rock and then,
So that's not gonna fix the erosion problem.
no, and he said that. He said, but it will slow it down and in 25 years you won't be here anyway, so.
What, who won't be here?
He won't. He's a,
Somebody we might contact is Steve Tudor. He buys veneer wood. That's what he does for Fender guitar, for Lexus. He works for some big company. But that's who the Cleaves contacted with regard to their trees. He's always shopping for veneer wood.
And I don't know that they were any better than firewood, they were just big.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But I know they somebody's processing firewood over there, so, or was.
Oh, firewood. Yeah.
So they might use the bulk of it, but,
Yeah.
George
Okay.
recommended Butch. He said he's really good at it. He says he's quick.
yeah, and for that matter, I know Lance cuts wood too.
So, I mean, we have a lot of choices
We've got
that,
some guys here that make a living doing it.
that we can pick from. I just need
It's
to
one
call
thing to
George
do it,
and
but
make
it's another
sure.
thing to do it on that bank and drop it into the
Exactly,
river and
exactly.
You gotta be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
suck them all up out of there, and
Oh, yeah.
that's not a.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah,
logger
yeah,
show on the
Yeah,
mountains?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little agile for this one.
Yeah.
You're not driving a
Exactly.
skidder down over that hill.
Right. And that's why I was kind of cautious because, do you want a single person out there doing
Well,
it?
I was honestly thinking that there was, and I'm not sure if they're still in business, but there was a company in North Guilford that did the cable logging. So they're actually used to working in that type of an environment. No, I don't believe they would run a cable across there to do it, but they're used to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Felling trees in that type of atmosphere.
Yeah, because we don't want anything to fall in the cemetery because we don't want to break stones.
No, it's all gonna go.
It's all gonna go, but
You gotta be able to get it out.
you got
Right.
right because we can't leave it in the river.
All right.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that's not gonna be a job for every logger out there.
right.
Because most of them now sit in the air conditioned, play with the joysticks and.
Right. But I first I'll double check with George to see if he would agree to let us cut them all and replant.
Yeah.
And then I gotta check with DEP and make sure that's okay with him. And then I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
That would be a good volunteer day to plant trees.
And find out what kind of trees we should plant that are gonna be the best.
I want something really slow growing.
Your comment about the barrier got me to thinking about our bridge letters. And I had asked you about the town's liability once notified. Did you get anything back from them?
Not yet. I emailed that earlier, and I also I left a message with Jeremy Schobel.
Okay.
So I will do that follow-up. Hopefully by sometime tomorrow I can get a hold of him.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten any further in terms of understanding what the costs are gonna be to fix those bridges or.
No.
Oh, speaking of that, Facebook the other day,
Yeah?
I noticed Gordon Contracting. Can't remember where their post was, but they were installing those.
Bridges, guardrails.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
You're doing a lot of work in Milo.
It was somewhere here local. I can't remember where it was, but
That's good.
yeah.
Well,
I think most contractors can do it. I know I had a contractor in Bradford that did it. I mean, and he was just a general contractor like anybody else. But if somebody has experience,
Well, the
That
thing
can
is
do
I
it.
think like Mr. Howard's probably has the attachment that goes on a skid steer. and
Right.
He's gonna drive along, he's got the post pounder.
exactly,
Whereas everybody else is gonna, cost you more money.
excavator or
and-
something.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, skipping to E, update on West Road map 17, lot 17, trash notification and building notices.
So I've got three things here. The first thing is the update on the West Road, which was the Gail Reed property that's on the camper that's on the lot by the pond. And they brought in pictures last week of, I think I emailed them, that the camper's gone and the outhouse is gone. And she sent me a letter and said her brother removed the outhouse on Monday, June 11th, and she spoke with that Larry Laney and the camper he removed on June 10th. And she just wants confirmation. I wanted to make sure I went out there and looked at it. Have not had time to go check it today. I don't even know if I could remember where it is. But
You
anyway,
drive so you can't drive any further and you're there.
I think,
It's
but,
pretty close. There's only, I think, 3 more campsites.
but is there any,
Oh, you just kinda keep going. I mean, once you get down and close to the water, you're gonna go to the right.
yes, that I
That's what
remember.
Yep, but after that, once you're in there, you're going.
So
But-
they're all gone? They're
The
gone.
camper and the outhouse,
Are gone.
according to the pictures that I got,
Yeah.
they are gone. Or, well, they are moved from the locations where they were. I want to
Okay.
just make sure because we didn't see the rest of the acreage
Oh.
that was behind the 100-foot mark.
Oh.
Yeah,
To
we
make
don't-
sure.
We don't care about that anyway.
Not
I mean,
really.
She could pull them back,
Do whatever you want.
right,
Yeah.
within the, right, so,
So,
but you're gonna.
the
look
pictures,
back.
yes, I would like to double check before. She wants me to send her a
Oh,
letter
oh, like a
confirming
release?
that they're, yes.
Oh. Yeah, wow.
So, before I do that, I want to. Trash
Why would you-
notifications.
Why would we wanna do that? Why would you?
Yeah, I'd be like
I
saying, I would like a letter I want you to send a letter telling me that I was not speeding this morning when I drove
Well,
through town.
And letter stating that I am now in compliance with the town regulations for that lot.
No, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that she's not getting fined would tell her that she's in compliance.
That's right.
Well, the only reason why I'm saying that is the way that is worded, and you just wrote that letter, is, yep, now you're in compliance. What else? What if there's something over there that you don't know about? I
That's
mean,
true,
obviously, she knows that camper's gone.
right.
And she knows, well, we keep calling it an outhouse, but the way George sounded, there wasn't an
Yeah.
outhouse. It was an abandoned building, it was a better term.
Yeah, well, I
But
mean,
either way, I mean, she knows that is gone as well. So for the intent of the entire conversation, but you don't know what else.
I could send her saying we will not impose fines at this time.
I wouldn't say anything.
Nothing, okay,
That's
If
what
your
I
code
would.
enforcement officer has an issue, he's gonna come to you.
Sure.
right.
I mean, I just,
Yeah, you can just tell her it's not necessary. She's,
yeah,
Right,
Thanks for cooperating.
right. You know.
yeah, I mean, you wanna go over, double check it, so you know for yourself, but that's
Right.
what, if she calls you up and say, yeah, thank you for moving it. I mean, I wouldn't take it any further than that, I wouldn't want
Okay.
anything
Yeah,
to
because
hold you later.
if she
Right.
moves
That's
something
my feeling.
back on there,
That-
hey,
well,
I got
yeah.
this
That's
letter,
what she
I'm
said.
in compliance.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not, you don't do that.
Unless there's something.
Sometimes it's good to
under-
have a glass half empty.
Yeah.
trash
Wait till you try it, you're gonna like
notifications.
it.
George, I had an opportunity to go to a shoreline zoning class with George, and then a legal issues class. And we talked about the trash, and so I pointed out some places. And he had already targeted some on Route 23, and so he had stopped. I think there were 3 locations that he had stopped and taken pictures of. One of them is pretty bad, that he issued a letter, and I sent that certified. And he had spoken with each of the homeowners when he took the pictures. Oh, and he went to Townhouse Road too. That was the one by Paul Davis's when Patty complained about that one. And so they all have said that they will comply, and they're going to follow up in a week. The one that we sent the letter to, we'll follow up in a week, and if it's not done, then I will send a letter, because it's trash. It's not, I mean, there's junk, a lot of junk too, but there's a lot of trash, and that's a health violation in addition to a code violation. So we are working on that. I gave him another location. I forgot the one on the Anderson Road. So there's 2 on the Anderson Road. Okay. You'll have to let me know where the other one is. So anyway, we are working on this
So these
trash.
are, in some cases, he's addressing issues that he's seeing without a complaint,
Yes.
which is good, I think.
That is good.
Yeah.
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 Now, is that because you've kind of brought this up to him, though? I mean, it's.
Well, he's gotten complaints every year, but and this year when
These-
he
because
came in,
the-
I said, George, let's work together on this. Let's get these, this
Cleaned
cleaned
up.
up.
I mean,
Good.
these ones on 23, I think this has been an ongoing multi-year,
Yeah. Well, and as he
and they're not getting any better.
Right.
So I don't know where we're at or where the next step, but
It's just sort of a pernicious issue in that these families, and he explained this to the planning board, they clean it all up, but then they just start collecting it again. So
none of
it's
these have cleaned them up.
never,
No.
never.
East Sangerville Road had several early this year. I haven't been over there lately, but they were several. I was quite,
Still a few.
well, it was because, remember we had the issue with the rodents?
Yes.
So I went over there thinking I would easily identify.
Oh.
It turns out
You're
there were
driving along
several to
thinking,
pick from.
it might be this
So,
one. Oh no.
Yeah.
It might be this one.
So,
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I drive by and it's like, oh, what was that box number? So I try to keep a mental tally but so, and building notices, I know we talked about them several times in the past. Through the process of doing commitment, I had received the book back from Hamlin and Associates. And there's a section in that book that has building notices in there, so they were receiving them. And in the basket, right after their last meeting, which was last week, there's a dozen or more new building notices in my basket. So they are being turned in to the assessor's basket
Good.
at this time.
Good.
So, and apparently they have been being turned in the past because there is
Well,
a
that's
section
what
in the
I've always
binder.
thought.
Yeah, I mean.
This
That's-
is weird, you had both people tell you they weren't.
I know.
I know.
I
Yeah,
was on the planning board, that was
Yeah.
just understood.
yeah.
That's something
So-
about that.
Okay.
Well, good.
Moving on to correspondence.
I don't have just that one from Gail
Okay.
Reed, so none.
Request for additional agenda items. At this point, we're going to item 11, executive session. Under Maine Revised Statute 405-6A, Lois Jones, 1-year review. Make a motion that we go into executive session.
Make a motion that we go into executive session. You'll shut this door.
Second.
Those in favor? It's unanimous. It is 6:03. It is 7:08, and we are going to come out of executive session. Have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? No action taken at this time. I have a motion to adjourn?
3 were in favor.
Yes, all three were in
Yeah,
favor?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
The vote, it's unanimous.